Welcome to Unfiltered. It's that time again. I hope you've got your seatbelt on. This week's episode, not really sure how good it's going to be because, it's been a busy week at work. So I haven't really had much time to pay attention to what's going on in the world outside of my particular sphere of my daily life. So what it boils down to is I just haven't been paying attention. So there are a few things that I'm going to get to. One, there's a quote. And I was going to lead right off with this quote. I put this show off until Saturday. Again, because it's been a busy week and the studio's been pretty full. And as an employee of Cheshire TV, I feel that I should film my show at a time when the studio is not occupied by one of our members. And if I book studio time in the middle of the week, and that basically takes away from any member that could use the studio at that time. So I usually try and squeeze my show in, wherever I can, whenever there's a little open slot in the week. And Thursdays is usually a good day. This week I put it off until Saturday because nothing, like I said, it's been busy. Nothing's really pissed me off this week. Again, because I haven't been paying attention. But there are just continual things that I think about all the time that I keep hearing references to, and I was going to start with a quote, and the quote is, you may remember this if you're old like me. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. You know who said that? That's right, John F. Kennedy in 1960. He was a Democrat. Today, from a Democrat, such as Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton, the quote would be different. The quote would be something like, ask not what you can do for your government, ask what your government can do for you. There you go. Because we just expect the government to do stuff for us. After 200 years of government, we should know by now the government is only out for themselves. Don't sit there in your home and pretend that you don't know it. The government is after one thing: bigger government, more money. Just like any major corporation. The goal is to be bigger and better and richer than anybody else. Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. You don't hear about anybody saying, I'm going to be successful in life by just surviving. Unless you're a contestant on the Survivor series. But again, it's all about winning. People these days, they scream about living wage. Oh, living wage is $20 an hour, living wage is $40 an hour. It depends on how you're going to live, I guess, right? You want to give me a living wage, let me write down all the stuff I want to do in my life and add up the totals of that, of how much it's going to cost me to do all that stuff, and then we'll discuss what my living wage should be. Here's a tip. Native Americans lived without wages. There you go. A phone is not a necessity. A phone is a luxury. A TV is a luxury. Some food is a luxury. So why do we think they're necessities in life? Because that's what we've been brought up to believe. That's what we've been taught. In public and private schools, both elementary, secondary, post-secondary, all the way up, with curriculums that were designed by the government. Again, by the people who are trying to keep us exactly where we are. And no, you don't need $15 an hour to survive. I lived many years on under $12,000 a year. You can live on less money, people. But guess what? You have to sacrifice stuff. There you go. Tired of paying high property taxes for your $500,000 house? Move into a $100,000 house. Are you a family of 5 kids? Do you have 3 girls and 2 boys, and you've got 6 bedrooms in your house? Move into a 3-bedroom house. Make the boys share a room, make the girls share a room. Again, this is just common sense stuff, people. But I know you're sitting back there and you're going, oh, why should I sacrifice all that I've got? Well, you don't have to sacrifice all you've got. You just have to realize that whatever you've got, no matter how much you've got, is always more than what maybe somebody else has. There you go. You have to live within your means, whether you make $6 an hour or you make $1,000 an hour. There you go. The government's definitely not helping us with that. An unwieldy tax system that nobody can figure out how the hell it works or what it's based on. The so-called affordable health care friggin' Obama thing. That didn't provide affordable health care. The doctors are still making the same amount of money they were making before affordable health care. It's just that now a bunch of your money's got to go to insurance companies. That's right. And why? Why do we have to pay for insurance companies? Well, a lot of people say because, people sue doctors all the time for malpractice and blah, 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 this and that. That's crap. For one thing, there should be no malpractice in medicine unless it's blatant. You can't blame something on a doctor that, unless he, specifically set out to do something to harm that other person. Accidents happen. And the more people that are being pumped through this healthcare system, trying to get quick, fast treatment, sure, somebody may overlook leaving their wallet in a patient or something. I know. What would a doctor be doing with his wallet out in an operating room? I don't know. Maybe he was having problems with his credit card or something. His American Express Gold card, people called him back and needed information or something. What I'm saying is, there's a reason that they say that doctors are practicing medicine. Because again, with the human body, there are no black and white, there's gray everywhere. The same in life, It's just, I don't know, the whole healthcare thing. For a guy like me that makes, and I don't mind saying this, I bring home about $500 a week. Of which I pay my car payment and car insurance so I can get around. Necessity, right? In this world, with the job I have, sometimes I have to take equipment places, so I need a vehicle. I can't just strap 200 pounds of stuff on my back and walk it across town. Thankfully, I don't pay a whole lot in rent because I can't afford an apartment at $500 a week. So along comes Obama healthcare, and I start looking into health plans, and sure, I can get so-called affordable healthcare for like $800 a month. That's almost half of what I make. Again, that's not affordable. That's not healthcare reform. That's shoring up the insurance companies. Big businesses who probably pump millions and billions of dollars into campaigns for politicians. And again, remember, it used to be the Democrats who said, "Ask not what your country can do for you." It's all about self-esteem. When people earn their own way, they feel better about themselves. I don't know. The Bible, give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, he'll sit by the lake and drink beer all day. I'm sure that's not the way the Bible put it, but you get my point, right? You can fish every day. Another thing that really has been bugging me lately is the whole race thing. If you're a Trump supporter, you're a racist. If you're a white person, you're a racist, This is the most asinine and played out premise of everything. The whole racism in America. Yes, there are white people that hate black people. There are black people that hate black people. There are white people that hate white people. There are black people that hate white people. The problem isn't the race, the problem is the hate. That's what it is. How anybody can with a straight face say anything about racism in this country where we have a black president. The most powerful man in the country is a black man. Nobody's tried to assassinate him. Nobody's tried to KKK hasn't been marching around in front of the White House. They're not burning crosses on the Capitol steps. Where's the racism? Your argument falls apart. Yes, there's plenty of hate in this country. And there's plenty of hate around the world. That's the world problem, is hate. It's unbelievable. Blame it on race. Yes, you're a racist because why? Because you agree that cops should shoot criminals black or white. Oh, Black Lives Matter. Isn't that racism in reverse? No, see, all of a sudden, I'm a racist for saying that. When somebody says Black Lives Matter and you say, wait a minute, all lives matter, you're a racist. Asinine. And I don't know, recently, I think I watched my time. Recently, last week, Bill Clinton, finally, there's some protests happening at Democratic rallies too. And some hate being spewed around. Not just on the Republican side, but on the Democrat side. When Bill Clinton was out stumping for his wife, the Black Lives Matter people were there. Blaming him for their problems because back in the 90s, he passed this big crime bill. The Democrats passed this big crime bill saying that they were going to crack down on drug dealers in inner cities and violence in inner cities and gun stuff in inner cities, and they were going to crack down on all this stuff. And all of a sudden, there were a lot more black people getting arrested and shot by cops. But it was the people in those communities who were pressuring the Democrats to pass that damn law. Drug laws go back to the 1920s, I believe, or even earlier, to basically control the Chinese immigrants and their opium habits. Yeah, because the government said, ooh, Chinese people do opium and they're bad. Government's got his hand wrapped around Hollywood, otherwise we would have never had reefer madness. Ooh, smoke a joint, turn into a werewolf and kill people and rape people. I smoked a lot of joints and I've never once raped anybody or turned into a werewolf. On the other hand, I've gotten drunk, woken up as a werewolf because I've slept for 3 days woke up with a full beard and stuff, and that's all right. Alcohol's legal. That's the difference. All right. So anyway, the whole idea of playing the race card these days is stupid. Because it's still concentrated on blacks and whites. Where's the Japanese racism or the you name it, the Italian racism or it's the black people against the white people. Bull crap. It's not black people against the white people. At this point, it's Democrats against Republicans. There's no difference. Rich against poor. It's no difference. Old against young. It's no difference. Man against woman. It's no difference. Oh, I heard this morning. Because I waited till Saturday and I didn't really have anything to watch on TV, so I was just kind of half paying attention, kind of shuffling between CNN and Fox, because that's how I figure you get balanced news. You watch the far right one, you watch the far left one, and your mind kind of blends all that crap together and comes out somewhere in the middle. At least that's the way I see it. So I saw a thing, it said that, it had to do with women. Women think, there's a group out there that think that childcare should be a right. Huh? Childcare should be a right? People should be entitled to childcare? Again, the most asinine thing I've heard in a long time. For one thing, take it back to personal responsibility. You make the decision to have a child. In that decision, hopefully, you have weighed all of the consequences. You don't have a baby and then, 3 years later go, oh, I want to go out to dinner. I never figured I'd have to find somebody to watch my kid if I wanted to do anything. Because if you're pumping out kids not thinking about any of that stuff, you shouldn't be having kids. Again, it's common sense, people, and it's it's between me and a significant other to decide whether we want the hassle of having kids. Before you have a kid, back in the 50s, it was no problem. Men worked, you had kids, the woman, the wife watched the kids. That's the way families are supposed to be. You don't have a kid and then say, oh, I got to get back to my 100-hour-a-week job. Here, somebody take care of my kid. That's irresponsible. When you make the decision to have a kid, take responsibility for that kid, raise that kid, teach that kid to be a productive member of society. Don't go, oh, geez, I want to have 5 or 10 kids in my life, and you know something? They're all going to be shoveled off somewhere because I just don't have time for that. When you decide you're going to have a kid, you might as well say, my life is done. My life now belongs to my kid. All right, let's not say all of your life. The majority of your life should belong to your kid. And childcare is not a right. Maybe having a child shouldn't be a right. Maybe you should have to fill out some kind of a test, do a little test, or have some kind of proficiency exam. Hell, they make you take a test and prove that you can drive a car before they let you drive a car. But there's no such test for having kids. Go ahead, just pump them out. Somebody else will take care of them. Yeah. I was surprised that I didn't get any comments last week about last week's show on the Facebook page. Again, and I commented, go ahead, tell me I'm wrong with the whole abortion thing. And if abortion were illegal. Thought of another analogy. Well, maybe, no, never mind. I'm just saying, there are very few rights, that you can nail down. But it comes down to personal responsibility, personal choices, self-esteem. It's the person. You can't have the government forcing you to turn your kids over to childcare. Or the government forcing a workplace to provide childcare. What does that do? That just makes it adds a cost to a business. And where is that cost going to come from? We talked about this last episode. It's not coming out of their profits. You wait and see. All these, Obama all of a sudden, because, the talk is all about, fair wages and corporations being bad and all this crap. So Obama's starting to crack down now. He's slamming out the regulations for companies as to how they have to treat people and this and that. And And especially over, the Panama Papers, and I got no idea what it's money going offshore, and it's corrupt people and this and that, and so they're going to start cracking down on that, which is going to affect businesses and corporations. And again, anything that it costs the corporations, they're not going to lose that money out of their profits. What are they going to do? They're going to lay off people. They're going to cut hours. They're going to do whatever they have to do. Same thing that happened with the healthcare thing. Government said companies have to provide healthcare for all their full-time workers. Guess what? There's not a company around that has full-time workers anymore. Sorry, we're cutting you back to 32 hours because we can't have you working 40. It's dumb. All right, well, my time's just about up. Let me see if I can get one interesting fact in here for you. There you go. 10,000 Dutch cows pass through the Amsterdam airport each year. I don't know why I thought you needed to know that one. A family of 26 could go to the movies in Mexico City for the price of one in Tokyo. Let's see another one that I haven't done yet. No, it's too late. Here's one for you. Speaking of waste. The cruise liner Queen Elizabeth II moves only 6 inches for each gallon of fuel that it burns. My time's up today. If you watch this stuff on Facebook, share me with your friends. If you watch on YouTube, subscribe. You'll get every week's episode. Till next week, I'm Rick Blood. This is Unfiltered. Peace.